can wear him down, throw more body shots, and get a knockout to the head later in the fight. Well, can get a knockout. I think the only way he really gets a knockout is if he digs to the body more, stays into the fight more than just 2 rounds like he did last time. Fight rounds 1 through 8 with a vicious body attack, and I think that's the only way he could possibly score a knockout. But I think his will be more of a body shot or body shot induced.
All right, I can give you a couple of historical parallels where I think either guy could score a knockout. For Canelo, if you recall Vince Phillips' Costa Zoo fought not so dissimilarly sometimes to the way Golovkin fights, real power jab, a heavy-handed guy. He came in, and against a good veteran counterpuncher, over time he got broken down, taken apart, and eventually stopped. If Golovkin wants to score a knockout, I think Julio Cesar Chavez, Edwin Rosario. He's going to have to take risks, walk through big counterpunches. When he gets his man on the ropes, he must put his body on him and keep him there and wear him down and go to the body, which Golovkin failed to do in the first fight. Of course, both these guys are big hitters. Either one is capable of scoring a one-punch knockout, but that's not the way I'd see it going. For Canelo, wearing him down with the counters and eventually undressing him and stopping him. For Triple G, getting inside, beating him down on the ropes, and eventually breaking his will. That's how we get knockouts in this fight, I believe.
How about one fighter or the other falls markedly behind on the scorecards and knows it and takes a risk that leads to him getting knocked out? Could you see that happening?
Yeah, I could see that happening mainly to Triple G more so than Canelo, because Triple G is not going to lose on the scorecards at the beginning. He lost the first one where he got a draw, where he thought he won.
I'm gonna put a stand.
This time, he feels he's behind, he's going to go for broke. He's 36 years old. He could be at the end of his career. He don't have time to waste on another draw or a loss. Canelo, on the other hand, would have to take the same risk if he feels he's behind.
That's exactly the scenario I was thinking of, Roy. Max, what I was thinking was, if Abel Sanchez around 8 or 9, you have lost the fight, you must go knock him out. He will take risks that could set up a counter shot.
Sure, and that's the thing he avoided in the first fight. He didn't put the same kind of Triple G pressure that he put against inferior opponents when he wasn't as worried about what was coming back, because of the burden of his whole legacy being on the line. But they know each other now. They fought 12 rounds. Canelo had said, I asked him, is this round 1 of the second fight or round 13 of the first fight? He said, no, it's round 1 of the second fight. I don't know. This may be round 13. They saw each other up close fighting, not maybe as well as either guy could fight, but a version of their best self for 12 rounds. They know what to
Make sure to share it.
The kind of
Subscribe too.
Trepidation about what the other guy may have, which was present early in the first fight, should not be there, and I expect this to be a fight of the year.
As recently as 30 years ago in boxing, there was no statistical profile, no box score, as in baseball or basketball or football, which gave you a statistical profile of what happened in the fight. But in the last 30 years, Bob Canobio and Logan Hobson together developed a system called CompuBox, and CompuBox has gained such currency and such credibility over the course of those 30 years that now it is an absolute given in newspaper leads, in web leads, in summaries of fights, all through the sport, all around the world, that you are going to see the CompuBox numbers that tell you what happened in the fight. One of the big differences between you at home watching a fight in a situation like tonight and judges sitting at ringside is that you get CompuBox numbers and they don't. So let's, at this moment, do a deep dive into some interesting statistics, some interesting CompuBox numbers from the first fight, which give us a profile of what happened in the fight. First of all, overall, and this is part of the reason that so many people believe that Golovkin was the justified first winner of the first fight. He landed 59 or 49 more punches, I should say, 49 more punches overall in the fight, and he threw 198 more punches in the fight, so he was the more active fighter, and he landed more punches. And Max Kellerman, shouldn't that in most instances win the fight?
I think sometimes people have a problem with scoring. Judges score at just the aggressive fighter. It's good they scored for the guy who threw more. But there's a strong, positive correlation among winners of fights, and certainly the fighter who the public feels won the fight, and the guy who landed more punches. The landed punches tell you the story. Not always, sometimes one guy's throwing more jabs, the other guy's throwing more crooked punches, and that really makes a difference. But by and large, there's a strong positive correlation. There you see, Triple G landed about 50 punches more. Most people feel he won the fight.
However, Roy Jones, what doesn't show up there is that Canelo landed more power punches. Golovkin's big edge in landing 49 more punches in the fight came in the jab category, where he was far more prolific than Canelo. Are power punches more valuable than jabs?
Power punches are definitely more valuable than jab because Max says it all the time. The way he judges a punch is by who do I want to be after taking that punch. The guy that got hit with the power punch or the guy that got hit with the jab. The guy that got hit with the power punch has a lot more taken out of him than the guy that got hit with the jab. So that's lose or takes us right back to my point to where I'm saying
Focus.
I was glad the fight was called a draw because one guy outworked the other guy, but the other guy outbanged the guy who was supposed to come in and outbang.
One comment about that, Roy, is I'm not saying Triple G's jab is worth the Canelo hook, but Triple G's jab is not just a normal jab. That's a hard power jab.
Yeah, but he wasn't landing a power jab against Canelo because he couldn't hardly hit it. Anything he tried to throw power-wise at Canelo, he missed with.
And here are the numbers as Golovkin landed 53 more jabs in the fight, basically doubling up Canelo in the landed jab category and throwing 128 more. And I think what a lot of people saw in the middle rounds of the fight, Roy Jones, was Golovkin moving Alvarez to the ropes and then controlling it there.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Keeping him in place, trying to find the big shots, but never finding the big shots. So some people, like Adelaide Bird, gave Canelo credit for making him not be able to find them big shots because Mexican style was supposed to be able to come in, find you with that jab, and put the big shots on.
If you guys don't like, I'm gonna end the stream. If you guys don't subscribe, I'm gonna end the stream.
And that's how some people came to draw.
And listen, if you have a guy on the ropes and you're sticking out your jab, you know, as a rangefinder, the way Larry Holmes did when a guy got hurt, you could set up a right hand. But if you plan on keeping a guy
I'm doing
on the
something
ropes,
right now.
you're not going to do it with a jab from distance. You're going to do it by putting a body on him, getting your head on his chest or his shoulder, and working. Canelo was on the ropes frequently. It was his choice, and it was also his choice when he wanted to get off the ropes.
Which makes this one of the biggest mysteries of the fight. Would it have been different, Max, if Golovkin had thrown significantly more body shots? And why didn't he throw more body shots?
Absolutely, it would have been different. That's how Golovkin could have tried to score the knockout. The problem is when a taller fighter goes down to get to a shorter fighter's body, particularly a great counterpuncher off the ropes, he is more vulnerable to shots upstairs, which could stop him because his weight is forward. He's more open to the shot. And Canelo had hit Triple G with some big vicious counters.
Nah, Richie, Team Canelo.
Triple G could have stopped him, but he also could have been stopped, and he didn't appear willing to take that risk.
Is that actually, Roy, the single most
Canelo's gonna Canelo's gonna win.
Golovkin landed only 8 body punches against Canelo.
That is most definitely the most single difficult number in the fight to understand for a person like me. How do you go through a big time showdown type prize fight and only land 8 body shots? Almost unbelievable. There's no way that I can think of any fight where 2 big guys were in a showdown situation and the other guy in 12 rounds, you landed less body shots than you went rounds. You didn't even average a body shot per round.
If I may, I can think of a great middleweight champion with a very aggressive style, who we all remember for performances in big fights, where he got his first crack at the big time against a great Latin American champion who was rising weight. I'm talking about Marvelous Marvin Hagler, middleweight champion who preceded Roy by a couple fighters, great fighter of his era. The first time another named fighter got in the ring with him, it was Roberto Duran. This is before Tommy Hearns ever fought him in that great fight, before the Leonard fight. Roberto Duran stepped up and accepted the challenge, and here was Hagler's time to just overwhelm a smaller fighter with a big name and show everyone how great he was. But he was in with a great fighter and a very tricky older fighter in Duran. And
Are you guys doing a setup?
Close rounds and only a last round rally by Hagler. pulled out a very close decision. Hagler was criticized after that fight. Recall
Tell me
what
when you guys
happened
are doing the
after
Doomsday
fight.
Heist.
The next time Hagler got a crack at the big time, it was against Tommy Hearns. He scored a third-round knockout in a fight that still means great action fight. Hagler-Hearns. Now, here's a rematch against the guy who just gave him fits. It's not a new fighter Golovkin is fighting. But did he, like Hagler, learn some kind of lesson after having his first crack at the big time? That he has to bring it next time with even more intensity. Because tonight is next time.
And how much does Golovkin multiply the risk? If he throws those body shots and gives the counterpuncher, Canelo Alvarez, more opportunities to counter to his head.
Well, he has to multiply that risk because, Jim, he needs to win his fight decisively or he may not get a victory. He may get another draw. He's already seen that. So if he cares about himself, if he cares about his legacy, if he cares about the future of his
Hold
career,
up, guys. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'll start streaming again.
he has to throw body shots. He has to.